to, just to say that out loud, because I know we talked about that last time. If the State Department threat level were to rise to a 3, say 2 weeks before you left, and so the trip would be, from a Pennridge standpoint, canceled, would that trip insurance insure our families their money back?
Yes, and then EF also offers in the claim, which is I believe the second page in the packet, if it does go up like threat risk within 44 days of departure, as long as it goes up past the level 2, they will allow us to either reschedule a tour, or tour participants can choose like to get a voucher for a different tour. So we can change the tour last minute, say Costa Rica does not become safe anymore, we're able to change it to Spain or something last minute. I would kind of take a consensus depending on the group. Everybody's kind of on board for that. If not, they could also choose to take a voucher.
I thought I just heard you say 44 days.
If it's under 44 days prior, we can
Right.
change without anything.
Okay.
And it doesn't need to be like level change at all. But
Okay.
if it's less than 44 days, then we do have that option. If they did increase the threat risk above a 2, we are able to change without zero like penalty against us. And again, students can receive the voucher to go on a different trip, or we can change our destination at the last minute.
But there is not an option for the families to say, we just simply want our money back.
I
That
don't
didn't sound
believe
like
there's
that
a
was
full
one of the
refund, no.
And that doesn't matter whether it's before 44 days or less than 44 days. That's not an option according to the
Before 44 days, they are able to, but they're not
Okay.
able after the 44 to get a full
Right. And
refund.
that must have to do with their
And
booking or
they will
whatever,
lose
but-
their $99 deposit if
Okay.
they do
Right.
choose to cancel the
Right.
tour.
Okay. So I just want to make sure the board's fully informed in terms of what that looks like to our families, and I'm assuming that will be well delineated to the families so they know what they're signing up for, what their options will be, and my understanding will try to do some trip. I also want to just draw your attention, we can speak about it in terms of the state. So the State Department does have a website that they update in terms of international travel. There are 4 levels to the threat assessment. And so when they have their definitions, and I forget what the difference between 2 and 3 is, but basically State Department says when it gets to be 3, hey, please reconsider. And then 4, they say don't go. And so that's why we made the determination between level 1 and level 2 being acceptable, but more than that, being something that Pennridge would cancel, since it would be a district-sponsored event, since we're going through our procedure. So I just want to remind the board of that and make sure that they're aware and comfortable with that.
So then, if that happened, we would cancel it?
Right, well, it doesn't sound like cancel or change, I think is what I
Yeah.
hear. So I think it's either a voucher or they go to a different place.
Yeah.
They could decide to go to some place that has a threat level 1. Or
And currently both countries are at a level 1.
Right.
So.
So I'd like to get a little more information around that, because you do have the EF program, and they talk about it specifically in this package here.
Mhm.
But then on the last page, there's the global travel protection. I'd like to see what that covers.
You know the answer to that?
I do not know the answer to that, I'm sorry.
You know what that covers, because it looks like, if I read this right,
I know that's the
for
supplemental.
45 days prior, you can only receive a transferable voucher.
I'm sorry.
It looks like, if I read this right, 45 days or more, you can cancel your tour and receive a transferable voucher. There's no monies refunded.
Is that different than what you understand? It does say that for,
They are able to my knowledge, they are able to cancel to a certain point. Because I've had a student actually this year for my Galapagos trip that like originally registered, they didn't find it and had to cancel. And it was after initial registration.
Mr. Kraus, I believe it describes it on page 3, what the global protection plan is.
But that's liability insurance.
But there's global liability and then global travel below
Right.
it.
Yep.
and that's what you're going to make
But it doesn't-
optional for the
But
families.
if that,
And then
Okay.
EF.
I understand, but there's no
Do you think that-
details there.
I have
Well,
the
do you
details
think
on the
that
website.
This is supposed to be part of that, maybe? I don't know.
What's that?
The section below it,
No, that's the EF program,
On the,
which is complimentary as part of the package.
I think Mrs.
As I
Collin has
understand
something on the
You
website.
got it on the
yeah,
web?
the Global Travel Protection Plan costs $165 and includes tour cancellation and interruption coverage, illness and accident coverage, baggage and property coverage, and flight delay coverage. I'm not gonna read all
Right,
the
right.
description,
Okay,
but
so
that's what's
that's-
covered at $165.
Okay.
And that's the optional that you'll offer to the families with that definition, so if they want to guard against getting sick or,
Mhm.
And
For-
when students register,
for
they're able
flights
to
canceled.
sign up for that.
okay.
All right.
Question.
Anybody else? Okay, so Devin's goal is that we can move this on to the May board meeting, and she would like to have an informational meeting for students before school's out, so. The May meeting is early this year, so, because of the budget, so it's early in May. So I'll keep in touch with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, on to other trips, overnight trips. And we'll kind of group these three together since it's the same two advisors. Looks like Jason's going to be the speaker tonight. So we have typically brought to you, at least in all the years I've been with you on activities, a trip to Utah and a trip to Vermont. Thereabouts, that's kind of been the two. And the Vermont trip's usually been the Killington trip. There's been so many students that have expressed interest in going on these ski trips. I believe you're the largest club in the high school, correct? As far as students.
We have 275 students.
Yeah.
It's a great club.
So this year, the change is you see a third trip, a second Vermont trip this year to try to give more opportunities to students. So students would at least have an opportunity to go on one or the other before they start booking new students. So if you wanted to kind of summarize, I guess we'll start with the Utah trip and we'll go from there.
So we modeled this same trip after the past 4 years. We've changed up our destinations each year just to give kids more of an opportunity, but it's modeled the exact same way. Typically, we'll meet here in the morning. We get the shuttle, so everybody's all together. And we take 4 or 5 adults. We took anywhere from 19 to 21 students each year. It's really, every year it's balanced out pretty evenly as far as male, female, and junior, senior. We don't limit it to just juniors and seniors, but we found from the past 4 years that works out really, really well. You need a certain level of understanding, responsibility, expectations to be able to, conduct yourselves reasonably and work as a team on a trip like this. So it's worked out very, very well. Even with adversity, the kids have been phenomenal. Like, I could not be more proud of the groups of kids that we had. Whether it was airport issues or flight issues. This year we got 95 inches of snow in 5 days, which for us was amazing. It was the best skiing I've ever done in my life. They shut down Route 80, so we didn't know what we were going to do. Everything worked out. We took the kids to dinner at Walmart, which is not ideal. It was awesome.
It worked.
So it's kind of like, guys, we're trying to figure this out, work with us, and they were phenomenal, so kids, they cook and clean on their own. We don't really give much guidance other than there's the kitchen. We buy all the food for them. It's already pre-ready to go. This year, again, with all that snow, we had some issues, so Ross and I had to go grocery shopping at 6 in the morning. But again, problem solved, when we deal with the situations as they arise. So with this sample itinerary, we leave from the high school in the morning. We try to take a morning flight just so we don't get out there too late. We try to fly direct if possible. Again, it all depends on flights and airports and things like that. First 2 years we went to Utah, so we flew into Salt Lake. It's a pretty big hub. The third year we went to Summit County, Colorado, so we flew into Denver. And then this past year we went to Lake Tahoe, so we flew into Sacramento and drove up into the Tahoe region. This year we're going back to Utah. It was just easier. There's more housing options. It's a little bit cheaper for the kids. They cater more to larger groups, and what we typically do is, instead of renting like hotels where you have to divide them up into rooms, we rent a house, and then basically these houses are beautiful and they're multiple bedrooms, and then so we assign the kids per room, and we get a layout of the house and the different sleeping arrangements, and we basically, they can pick their roommates, and then we just assign them from there. We typically will hire a company that will do our grocery shopping for us, so we accommodate any dietary restrictions that they might have. We send them the list, they tell us what they can get, what they can't get, and then that's already taken care of for us. There is a rental car company that we use in Utah called Rugged Rentals, and they rent all pickup trucks, SUVs, four-wheel drive, so that's taken care of. We worked with them for 2 years prior, so we have a good relationship with them. And that's pretty much how it works as far as some of the logistical standpoints. We try to do 2 separate mounts just to give them, a couple different options. They can see different places, and that's pretty much it. We do obviously skiing and snowboarding during the day. We try to plan an activity for them. Some of the things that we've done in the past, we took them bowling 1 year. We took them indoor skydiving 1 year. They had a little flow rider boogie board wave. That was really fun. Oh yeah, we went snow tubing on the side of the resort this year, which wasn't as fun, but the kids made it fun. So we try to give them that aspect of the trip as well. As I mentioned before, cooking, cleaning, some of the kids, it's their first time that they ever had to do that. It's kind of like a nice little introduction to what life is like in college and outside of your parents' home. And, some of the students decided to put dish soap in the dishwasher, which wasn't fun, but again, it was a learning experience, and we all had a laugh about it.
Lots of learning.
So we get out there. Typically, we'll do an easy dinner, the night of. Next morning, we do simple things with breakfast. We pack lunches just to try to maintain costs, keep costs low. A lot of the kids are really great, and they'll form an assembly line, and they'll make 20 lunches all at once for the kids. Obviously, ski and snowboard all day. We have, safety meetings and debriefings at the end of the day. Kids show their GoPro videos with each other, and they really get a kick out of that. Who did the coolest thing, or who had the best wipe out, that sort of stuff. And that's pretty much how it is for the days that we're skiing and snowboarding, and then we'll factor in the activity the one night, and then the travel day coming home. So this year's a little bit different. We're asking if we have a built-in weather day / emergency day / activity day. Things happen, and so we've been pretty fortunate as far as, for the most part, we've had no injuries. We've had no really severe complications where it had a huge impact. In fact, this year we had all that snow. We came back and we had a snow day when we got back. And I think we got an inch or two of snow. Kids, had some things to say about it, but it was kind of fun. They thought that they were invincible after skiing in all that snow. But the one year a plane broke down. The airport was phenomenal. They put us up in a hotel in Denver for a night rather. I think it was 5 hotels, whatever it was. So we decided to take the kids downtown just so they could see and experience a new place. And it was one of those things where, these memories that these kids make with each other, it's really satisfying for us as leaders of the club. A lot of these students, we've known them for 4 straight years. The middle school students even talk about going on these trips once they get up into high school. So I think it's a great opportunity for them. That's pretty much the extent of the trip. We open it up 9 through 12, but as I said, we prefer 11th, 12th graders, and that's what we've had every year. It's over the President's Day weekend to try to minimize the impact of school. We modeled our trip after clubs in the area. It started a few years ago. I went to a roundtable discussion at Hatboro Horsham, and there were representatives from North Penn, Hatboro, Perk Valley, and I think Thacton. And pretty much we all follow the same basic parameters of the trip, and it's worked to great success. We've also been in contact with the advisors from North Penn, and they do their annual trip to Disney World with their senior class, and I think that's way more of an undertaking than this. So we try to get ideas from those other people and how they handle certain situations, so we are over prepared if need be. I think that's pretty much it. As far as security, all the staff at the mountains, they have their own security there. For example, one year we had a young man get sick on the mountain, and I think it was a little bit altitude sickness, and then 8 other kids got sick. The flu went through the house, and so we actually had mountain services help us out there. So they're fully equipped to handle situations like that. And then the hospitality business, so they've seen pretty much everything at this point. But we've had very good success. Any questions?
Any questions or feedback for Utah trip?
I just want to make sure I read it correctly. Based on the school calendar, that first day, which is Thursday, February 13th, is the actual only student school day we're talking
That's
about
the
here.
half day.
Right,
Yes.
and so the students would miss part of that half day,
Yes.
but the rest of the days on this calendar are not student days.
Correct.
Yeah, thank you.
And then we could do like equipment and luggage drop off the night before. That way it facilitates certain things and just helps to get everybody out of here quickly and efficiently.
Okay.
Are they able to give you any kind of, do they give you any kind of discounts on travel since you do this so frequently?
We get group rates, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So they don't post flights until, I want to say it's 6 months before, 8 months before.
Southwest posts in like July for
Yeah.
February.
So
Or
it's
August.
kind of, there's multiple, not so much on this one, but we pick a window and we hope for the best. You know, they don't put the flights out, and so we need to ideally pick lodging and accommodations as soon as possible, because a lot of these houses get taken up, especially by the fisher weekend. With the cars and the lift tickets, that's not an issue. You know, actually, we would prefer if the mountains got back to us a lot sooner. They don't really worry about us if we're 2 months out. They worry about us the week before. So we do get discounted rates and sometimes comp rates depending on the size of the group. Not as much with the trip out west because we have a smaller number, more so with the trip up north. And then because we've used the same companies, we get discounts from that as well. So they cut us a break because we're repeat customers.
Great. Sounds like a nice trip.
You want to go right into your next
Sure.
trip there?
So the Vermont trips they're basically identical trips. The only difference is location and the dates. There's a couple prospective dates there, and the reason why we did that is because of bus availability and hotel availability, which again, we don't know yet. One of the reasons why we did this is because for the past 3 years straight, we had 2 buses on the Vermont trip, 90-some students. It's a lot. And we, as chaperones, did not want to overextend ourselves on a trip like that. We want to give the kids the best opportunity on a trip, and we also wanted to give them more of an opportunity to see different places. So some of the feedback we got from our seniors this year is that they've done Killington for the past 2-3 years. They're sick of Killington. They would have rather gone somewhere else. So we're just going to do 2 separate trips. We're going to cap it at 1 bus. Either the last week in January, first week in February, again, depending on availability, and then that last weekend in February. Costs are going to be approximately $370. Is it the same for both? Same for both trips, and which is the same as last year. And same thing, we leave here Friday afternoon, we ski 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, and then we come back Sunday evening. The kids are typically back 9:30 or so. We leave them out at 2 o'clock, so they get almost 2 full days on the mountain. And we stay in a hotel close to the resort. If we stay at Killington, we'll stay in Rutland, which is about 20 minutes outside of the Holiday Inn. We have a very good relationship with them. We've been going there for over 15 years, ever since I've been at Pennridge. Betty, I call her every year, hey Betty, it's Jason from Pennridge, and it's a great conversation, and she asks how everybody's doing, and it's really nice to work with the same people over and over again. We have a great reputation with all the people that we use, so that helps us out. Betty actually won't rent to certain groups, but she's very happy that when we call, we're coming back. So we try to handle as much of the food as possible. So this year, the kids got hot buffet breakfast on Saturday and Sunday in the hotel. They got a $18 food voucher for on the mountain in the lodges and restaurants on the lodge, and then dinner the evening in the hotel. Last year, the kids decided that they would rather go to the Taco Bell, which is right next door, so we made dinner mandatory this year. So they all had to come to dinner and check in, which worked out a lot better. And they're great. They'll make whatever we want them to. So the only meals that we don't provide is the meals at the rest stop on the way up and on the way down. So, and then for the other trip, we're going to go to Burlington, Vermont, and ski some of the northern mountains, which would either be Smuggler's Notch or Stowe or JP. Probably one on Saturday, one on Sunday.
I want to go.
I know. I say that every year. I want to be a chaperone for any of these. And Costa Rica. I'll do it all.
We only did
Yeah.
Killington when I was in high school. So.
I really appreciate these trips because my children, have taken them many years, and I think it's a great value, first of all, and just a nice opportunity for families like ours that, aren't necessarily going to be able to go haul 5 kids up to Vermont to go skiing. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
It's also really great to hear that that Pennridge has such a great reputation going to all of these places. 'Cause that's really
I could
important.
not be more proud of our kids. And we do hold them to a standard, They have to be in good academic standing. If they get in trouble with their grade level principal, I tell them in the beginning of the year, you're out. I tell all of our parents at our introductory meeting, if your son or daughter gets in trouble, they're out. Sorry, and that kind of eliminates some of the riffraff, I believe. And I put kids on academic contracts. I put my students on contracts. If you can't get your grades up, and I've worked with kids too. Even if they, maybe slipped a little bit, if I can see that they're progressing and they're doing better, I'm more than willing to work with them. And it's the only issue is when we don't know until afterwards. you know, and then we're forced to, you know, they have to take the consequences. So, but everything is lined out in our rules, and all the parents here at our meeting, all the kids here at the meeting. When we have, during the activity schedule, we bring all the kids in, they hear the same message, you know, time after time after time, so they all know. And unfortunately, some kids have been removed for various reasons. But I think that over the years, we've had a lot of success because we hold them to a standard.
For sure. Mandatory safety equipment, what are the students required to wear?
All students obviously have to have proper clothing.
Right.
But helmets.
Okay,
So-
and snowboarders, wrist guards, or
We don't
that's
have
just
that
them?
requirement,
Right,
some of
okay.
them do,
Right.
that we kind of leave that up
But it's
to
their
them.
choice.
Yeah, that's their choice.
Thanks.
You know, sometimes we've been up to Vermont, it's been pretty cold, and
Mhm.
I basically said, you're not allowed on the mountain unless you cover up.
Mhm.
Like, you need something, you come let us know. And we have some extra stuff. One of our chaperones, her husband works at Buckman, so they donated a bunch of gear, so we have extra jackets and gloves, and so we try to help out kids when necessary. Every year we get a kid that, you know, wants to try it out for the first time, and they'll come, and so we always try to outfit them, and I'll send out email to all the other chaperones, hey, if you have any extra gear, bring it on in, and we'll see what fits and what doesn't. It might not look the best, but it works. So.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for putting together these trips. We appreciate it, and
Thank you so much.
we'll move it forward to the May board meeting.
Thank you.
Coach Dyer, you ready? I think you have the next two here. Well, Mr. Dyer has one and Coach Dyer has one.
Yeah, we both.
They're both here.
Apologize for my tardiness.
No, you're not late. That's okay. As long as you're in time for your item.
Yeah. You're on time.
So the first one on here, I guess we can go in order of the agenda, is the State Leadership Conference. If you could just summarize that one for us.
Sure
I know you've run both of these before.
Yep, so the PASC is the Pennsylvania Association of Student Councils, and it's a state-run organization. We've been going there 30-plus years. If anybody remembers Mike White, he did it for 23 or 24 years. I've done it the last, wow, time flies. And so what basically this is a leadership opportunity for our student council, where the members of our organization go out to another high school that's hosting the conference, and there they're going to be exposed to a lot of leadership training, how to be a student leader, how to get your school involved. We just had an amazing mini-thon, but not directly the result of student council. Basically, my 45 kids were all involved with that. We run homecoming and winter ball dances and pink out games and things like that. So this is where they really hone their leadership skills. They get exposed to a lot of different workshops, how other schools do things, best practices. I'm simply an advisor. I don't claim to have any expertise in this at all. I'm there to help them where they need it, and they bring back so much to Pennridge and really get excited about helping the student body as a whole have a good experience here at high school, whether it's a small freshman class that just needs some bonding opportunities, or we have school-wide dance, with the homecoming dance we had over 1,300 kids at this past October, so that was a huge turnout. But behind-the-scenes leadership that these kids possess, they're trained on extensively at this council meeting. Usually at this conference, there's about 1,500 students, leaders across the state. So we hosted it in 2009. Frankly, I know you remember that. It was a huge undertaking. So it's a great experience for our kids, and they come back so energized and ready to lead and do great things here. It's a fantastic opportunity. So basically, the trip, we'll leave usually the Thursday, last half of the week. The conference runs Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We leave Thursday, we drive out to whatever school. It's a different school every year. This year we are in West Mount Hilltop, which is Johnstown, which is out towards West PA, so it's within the hall. But not like 15 teenagers in the van with you. But it's a good trip nonetheless. So we'll leave out Thursday. We'll arrive there. When we get there, they have a registration. They'll have some activities for the kids to do. They'll have a small workshop to sort of like icebreakers, get everybody introduced. And they do a great job because a lot of times they'll break up individual councils. You'll be paired up with new members you don't know. So you sort of build bonds and relationships. And these kids will be friends for the rest of their high school career and past. So it's a great opportunity for that. Friday is a jam-packed day. They up and early, and then we're going all day and night. So they have multiple workshops we're going to. We have many guest speakers, motivational speakers that come and talk to the whole population. They obviously are going to be fed lunch, breakfast, and dinner. So it's a real good opportunity for them to build relationships, sharpen their leadership skills while still having fun and energized. And this Saturday we'll come back from the conference. Usually we get back around 2:30. They usually try to convince me to stop at Shady Maple.
It's a good plan.
That's a good plan, Saturday afternoon, so, but yeah, usually we're up by 2:30.
Are we on, I think we asked you this last year, Mr. Dyer, are we on the cycle to host again in the near future, or is that not set?
We are on the cycle. The problem is we lack hotel space. We used to have host families, so when we hosted, we were the last conference where 1,500 kids coming to us actually stayed in our community homes. And then those parents would be responsible for bringing the kids to high school every morning and picking them up every night. Current environment and social expectations have changed, so that's a bit of a challenge for us. We know the Costa Hotel are up by the turnpike really, and they can't accommodate the group. I think they only have, I think it's 140 or 160 hotel rooms up there. If you put 4 in a room, you're right around 1,000, so it's, you gotta have some people down in Garberville, and it makes transportation back and forth a little nightmare. So facility here, we would love to come back, but fortunately our area just doesn't have the hotel space to.
Okay.
We've hosted many regional conferences since then. So we've hosted a regional conference 3 times, which is just a one-day event where you usually get about 1,000 to 1,200 kids here. But run through the same organization, Pennsylvania Association of Student Councils. So Pennridge has hosted that since 2010. But this particular one is still a challenge. We'll have to come up with something creative to get a work around that.
Maybe the Washington House will keep getting higher and become a high-rise. They have the big room upstairs.
To their 4 rooms.
I hosted kids, I didn't have kids at the high school, but we hosted them and it was, what if is it because of like the clearances? I mean, what if we just use our volunteers with clearances?
Some of the problems that we ran into, if the child doesn't feel safe in the room when they're in, then we have to scramble and try to find someplace for that child. If you send your kid 6 hours away to somewhere and they're calling you, I don't feel safe, I don't feel comfortable here, it's
A lot of extra headache.
yeah, it is. And
The liability.
those parents are calling me every 15 minutes, has my kid been moved, where are they at? So, the association actually did away with it all.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Okay.
us specifically, but it was just, they're moved away from that model completely. So, but yeah, it was a great experience here at Pennridge. It was my first year here. It was awesome. Yes.
A nice welcoming present.
Yeah, it was.
Did I read correctly that it's open to any student council member?
It should be, that may be a typo, it should be open to anyone.
It says officers and non-officers.
Yeah, officers
Yeah,
and non-officers, so it would be anybody.
Right, anyone on student council?
Yes.
Right, okay.
Yes.
And so you're estimating that it's 12, you don't know how many will say yes, how many will say no?
No,
Right.
we typically, because we've already, are planning the hotel rooms, we're planning transportation so far out, it's a group package, so they ask us how many rooms do you need, we usually take 3 or 4 rooms, so it's 12 kids.
Okay.
Then they have to submit an essay, there's a questionnaire they have to go through.
Got
The children selected are all selected by the officers. They make the selection of the students who are able to go. My advice to them is always make sure we have a nice sprinkling of different classes. Don't make it just seniors because they're going to come back 3 years almost over. So it's, get some sophomores, get some of the younger kids in there, so that way they all can experience it. We have taken exec council members in the past as well. So somebody who's in the 12th grade exec council or the 10th grade exec council has mentioned they want to be a part of it, and I'm sure come on in. So anybody basically in a leadership position, encourage.
And you don't pick the dates, those are the dates.
They are
That's
the
right.
dates,
And that-
yeah,
Are there
we-
natural conflicts with the high school schedule?
For
My guess,
our
right, in terms of
schedules?
Pennridge, in terms of early November, I'm sure some sports might be if they're doing well, but.
Yeah, sometimes
right.
we get a football.
Yeah.
It's been many years since we had a football player in city council, but typically there's not too many conflicts with the school itself.
Okay.
The school that's hosting, their board has decided to make those two the service days, because obviously they're hosting 1,500 kids, you can't have your own population there, so. But for our schedule, Pennridge's schedule, usually there's no conflict as far as kids unable to attend because they're doing something else. They do try to keep it that first or second week in November, because that's when the fall sports are over, typically.
There was something last year, and I don't know if it was this leadership conference, but there was a different one where
That's
we
why I
ended up with a
asked.
field trip at the same day.
Yeah, there was some conflict.
Yeah.
Is there a way
So-
of making, like, is there somewhere where all the teachers know these things are already planned, so don't plan a field trip for that day?
We are,
The master
how it is at the high school, I can only speak to the
Yeah.
high schools, we contacted Linda Snyder, the secretary for Mr. Bonin, and we said, this is the conference, or this is the field trip we want to go, and then she has a list of everybody in the building, because, many teachers, there's a lot of field trips, so then she says, well, there's already this or that, typically that weekend doesn't tend to be too busy, usually it's, Veterans Day weekend, so we're able to usually fit it in. But yeah, so there is a check and balance, shall we speak, but that's handled by high school administration.
It's
As
probably
club
unavoidable
advisor,
sometimes.
Sometimes.
we're
There
required
was
to
something
share.
that a whole class was involved
Yeah,
in
it
something,
was
so we'll look at that. It
key
sounds like
clubs,
Mrs. Snyder is the one who's
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
conduit.
she
for
was
that.
The
the
trip to
organizer.
New York, the
So-
New York trip was the same day as a leadership conference, so no one could go to leadership conference because their whole class was going to New York.
To New
That's
York.
what it was.
Yeah, it was key clubs.
And SATs are not, do we know the SAT dates for the fall? I'm assuming that a high school wouldn't put something on top of the SAT weekend, because there is a
Typically,
November
don't.
one. Is it that first weekend in November maybe that the SATs are?
It is.
It is, okay, great, all right, so then we're fine.
So yeah, usually be the first or second.
So when you have kids applying and you take about 12 kids, how many kids do you end up having to turn down every year?
It's very few. We say we're gonna take this number 12 or 16, because we put 4 in a room. So we ask for the applications, they have to submit by a deadline, et cetera. And usually we'll probably have 3 or 4, and because we've already started the process for next year with new officers and new members coming in, that what happens is we have them apply, and then they have to check with, their schedule, maybe there's conflicts on their schedule, so we probably turn away maybe 1 or 2, but through attrition and kids just not lining up dates in their schedule, we'll probably have 4 or 5 drop out just because something's not gonna work. So when we turn student away, they are, listed for the following year, if they had interest, and if they reapply again, then we give them a little bit more priority. It's not a guarantee, of course, and of course, they have to be in good academic standing and, not in trouble with the law, things like that.
And so at Mini-Thon, I have to say, they had some great leadership skills. They were going
Yeah.
out into the hallways and guiding people on where to
Yeah.
go and what to do and giving them directions, and so, and it wasn't people coming to them and asking them. They were very in charge, and they were out and,
Mr. Brown did
They
a
did a
great
great
job with those kids, and I think I had 45 student council kids. I think there's 42 of them were part of his committee. He had 15 committees running that thing, so it's just, he does an amazing job with that. And, they're leaders, so the goal is people watch how they behave in those type of situations and sort of encourages it. And this is the conference where they get that energy and that focus and that guidance. And I haven't had a bad one yet. I mean, there's not much for advisors to do there, but kids, the bus ride home or the van ride home, they're just itching to get back into school. I pull up in the parking lot, hey, can we go in? We got posters, we have flyers, and I'm like, calm down, we're here on Monday. It's okay.
That's good.
So it's really a great opportunity for
that's
them.
awesome.
They do enjoy it.
Nice.
Are you okay if we move on to the next trip?
Yeah.
All right, so Mr. Dyer, the baseball trip to Beaver Run, I know we worked hard with you a few years back to make sure kids weren't missing school on that Friday. And
Yeah.
based on this itinerary, they're not missing any school there. But your day Saturday super packed, so it looks like it's going to be a productive day.
Yeah.
So if you just kind of want to summarize this, I know this is run for many years as well.
Yeah, this is, I forget, 16th year, 17th year, Coach Johnstown has been doing it. I've been with the team this is my 5th year, so this is an opportunity where we take varsity baseball players and a handful of JV juniors up to Dingman's Ferry, which is just above East Stroudsburg University. And they have the opportunity to sort of take them to a hunting and fishing lodge, and we're not hunting and fishing at all, but they're in the cold. Most times there's snow up there, and there's no internet, there's no TVs in the place, and it's this huge house that sleeps like 35 people, and they just have to just play and bond and be together and get along, type of thing. So on Friday, we're gonna go up after school typically. I think we had the one year where we were expecting heavy snow around 3 o'clock. Dr. Creedon let us go around 12:30, 1 o'clock, but typically it's after school departure. We, this past year, we took a chartered bus up to Dingman's Ferry, just for transportation. We didn't want to have the burden on them because they need the buses for the after-school run, sports team runs, or whatever, so we felt easier on them and us scheduling wise if we charter a bus to head up. The cost of the bus is typically included in the fee. When we get there, we have the dinner and then some time for the kids to be together. And then Saturday morning, like you said, Dr. Price, is an action-packed day, up early. If you're not familiar with this trip, there is, they have individuals, caretakers of the estate. It's on thousands and thousands of acres. Most of it's hunting and fishing available up there. The caretakers live there, and they provide our meals for us. So they're going to cook our breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Unlike the skiing board where the kids have to do it all, the caretakers who are in charge of the club itself will provide those meals for us. So then, we have some activities for the kids. We have some nature events out there. We're taking hiking to the dam, which is a really cool experience. They get to sit and look over the dam, and in early March, it's cold and peaceful up there, that's for sure. So we usually have some activities organized and some that are not organized, like the wiffle ball tournament and things like that, just for the kids to be able to play together and have a little competition. Sometimes as coaches get involved, but we're all getting a little older, so it's harder to do that. So we do some training. We'll do the week before, because we start our winter indoor training in January, so we have a lot of film of the boys, of their swing, and their throwing, if they're a pitcher, etc. So we bring them in one at a time into the one room, and the 4 coaches are there, and we're in that analyzing their swing, trying to give them tips and pointers and things like that. So it's a real no stress environment. There's no expectations, just hey, we're just looking at this, and kids really seem to feed off of that, because sometimes varsity sports gets a little stressful, and this is one way that we can approach how to improve their game without the level of stress needed. But it is a great time for bonding for the boys. They do come together very well after this trip. They're very tired after this trip, which is kind of nice. Mom and Dad don't mind that on the day back. So, but there are some early mornings and late nights where we have things going on. Pictionary gets pretty intense. I have to mention it's non-contact. So then Sunday we're on our way back. Usually we get up early, have breakfast. The bus is usually there waiting for us. And then we make our way back. Typically, we're back by noon on Sunday. It's a very quiet bus ride. It's an enjoyable one. So again, the dates aren't, we select the dates. They are somewhat flexible, but because it's typically over the weekend, we're able to play with the dates a little bit more than, because we're not missing any school time.
So you tell the kids up front that they're going to have no access, no cell phones, And they come willingly?
They come willingly, absolutely. They don't believe us. They bring their hot spots, they think they can get it, but we're literally in the middle on the side of the mountain.
That's awesome.
That's great. That's
Board retreat.
I'll tell you.
I know, yeah, we need our
I
board
took my
retreat there.
sister and her friend midnight bowling. I took a picture of the two of them standing next to each other texting. And I
Oh.
sent it to both their moms and said, this is midnight bowling today.
So-
Text.
Yeah.
So if there is we have a nature walk, there's a 2-mile road from, I can't even say the main road, the one road in town. You know, our driveway for the lodge is 2 miles long, and if you walk 3/4 of it back towards town, you sort of can get a signal sometimes. So they always want to go that way so they can check their Snapchat. Doesn't last long. So yeah,
That's funny.
it has a great reputation. I mean, we've built a championship team up there in 2016. It's just, you know, all the boys look forward to it. You ask the younger players in the middle school, they all know what Beaver road trip is. It's
Oh, that's so
it's
sweet.
classic.
That's really sweet.
Yeah. We have a good time.
Anybody else for Coach?
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Dyer, we appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I think we need a trip for everyone.
I know.
That requires no X.
I agree. Let's do it.
Make it
Beaver
a
run.
requirement.
We have the
We'll have them
itinerary.
booked here around.
Very cool. Thank you so much for
We'll
your time.
extend the number of people we're sending with you next time.
There we go.
All right, Mr. Grant, you're up. Aquatic schedule and financials, whatever order you want to start on. We do have, if anybody wants a handout of this, because I know that's kind of small up there on the edge of the table here. If you want a handout, all that this is printed there. Go ahead. You want to start with the schedule?
Yeah, we'll start with the schedule since you guys have it up there. The first one up there is for September through November. During the fall, we start all of our activities starting in September when the kids come back to school. We do run some stuff in August, but it's just very like high school practice kind of stuff, nothing for the community yet. You'll see every day after school we have high school water polo in there from 3:30 to 6:30, and then we have swim lessons and PAC on Monday nights, and then the rest of the week we don't have swim lessons, just those on Monday night, where it just goes water polo straight into PAC. PAC is the Pennridge Aquatic Club. They are a swim team that is privately run. They rent out the pool from us. They're in a league with a bunch of other schools, North Penn, Souderton, Upper Perk Valley, just local schools. They have their own sort of youth league. It's basically a development program that feeds our high school teams, high school water polo and swim teams with kids who come up already knowing how to swim. This year you'll see the second grade swim on Wednesdays and Saturdays. That was new this year. It's switched from an after-school thing to an evening program, so I was asked to find time for them. That is completely run by them. They bring their own lifeguards, they bring their own swim staff. We have nothing to do with it. We just provide the pool, so I have no really say over that. I just give them the pool for an allotted amount of time. So that's during the water polo season, September through November. Once we get through that, we can be up down to December. From there, this is when Pennridge Aquatic Club really ramps up their season. They have meets every Saturday in December and January, so they get in there 5 nights a week, getting as much practice in as possible. We also then switch over from high school water polo to high school swim season, so you'll see that afterwards. The reason you see less pool time for high school swim than high school water polo is the boys and girls practice together for the swim team, so we can get all the athletes in at once. Whereas for water polo, we need more time because we practice separate boys and girls teams. So we actually open up a little more space for that. On Saturdays, same thing, like you'll see on there, is high school swim in the morning, and then PAC actually does their meets on Saturdays. They flip-flop boys and girls home 1 week, boys and girls, or boys away the next week. So it just depends on who's in there, but they're always in there. After that, you've got January. It's pretty similar to December. I just wanted to specify that it was 2019, so it's the same thing, high school swim in the afternoon, right after school, and then we go right into PAC for January. Their season ends the end of January. They might go into the first week of February, just depending on when their championship meet is. This year it is in the end of January. After that, February kind of give my guards a break. They have been working, most of my guards are high school swimmers and water polo players. So on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they have morning practice from 5:30 to 6:45 in the morning. Then they attend school, then they attend afternoon practice, and then they have work at night. So those guys need a break in February when they're finished, where they're getting ready for their championship season for high school swim. So we cut back on that. We just do swim lessons. There's not really anything else much at night in February. And also you'll see second grade swim starting back up in February. They are back in on Wednesday nights and Saturday mornings. After that, we go down to the rest of the school year. This is when PAC is not in, so we get to do a lot more aquatics programs for the community. This year we're running swim lessons twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays. We're running a water polo clinic twice a week. That is for grades 4th through 8th grade. This was brought to the activities committee maybe 3 years ago, I think. So we did it 2 years ago. Last year we did it. It was not advertised properly. We only got about 4 registrations, so we canceled it. This year we're back up to about 15. So we went ahead and ran another water polo clinic for 4th through 8th graders. We also do a competitive swim clinic. The swim clinic is basically just time to bridge the gap between the winter season and the summer season. PAC also has a summer team. So it's essentially not time to focus on building your endurance, but more technique work and fixing strokes that sometimes may get overlooked in a crowded pool. It's a lot less numbers than PAC does. This year we're running about 25 kids in that clinic. You also see community lap swim Tuesdays, Friday nights from 6 to 9 p.m. as well as 11 to 3 on Saturday. Saturday is more geared towards family time. We open up the diving boards, we bring the basketball hoops out, families come in. There are 2 lap lanes available for community members if they want to come and work out, but we also have the more fun aspect of just playing in the pool that we don't always get. Any questions on the schedule? The swim lessons are what age? We start at 3. Start at 3 years old.
So it really is
So, yep.
all, yeah, great.
So when it's open to the community, is that something, do we are we charging?
Yep, we are
How
charging.
much?
We
Is that
charge
like
for adults, it's 18 and over, it's $5 per visit. Ages 3 to 18 is $3, under 3 is free.
So, where it says open, that's not open swim, that just
No,
means you don't
open
have
just
something
means open
scheduled?
pool time, there's nothing in the schedule at that time.
So is this, I think I only saw community, so we only have it for the community the last March through May?
Yeah, with PAC, they're in there 5 nights a week. They have rented out that pool that's predated from when I was here, and that's just the schedule that I've stuck to. Just based on, we have very low attendance of the community lap swim. I would say on average we have 2 ladies that come in every night. And so, we're paying guards to sit there for 3 hours to, guard the first 45 minutes when they come in. On Saturdays, we're definitely not a lot busier, but we have more families coming for that kind of thing, yeah.
So I do have a question.
Yeah.
So the pool time, is there anything happening before 3:30?
High school.
All of your schedules start at 3:30?
Yeah, you know what, that's actually a mistake, that should be moved up to 2:30, I'm sorry, because we did get rid of the second grade swim program. So that should actually start at 2:30
Okay.
with that.
Through the entire year?
Yeah,
It starts at
for this entire
2:30?
year. Yeah, so all the
Okay.
practices you see were actually extended for high school from 2:30 on.
Okay. And is this schedule that we're looking at here, have more pool usage than last year, or is it about the same?
The pool is used from 7:15 in the morning, or if you have morning practice, 5:15 till 9 o'clock every night. So, it's about the same. We're pretty much maxed out.
Okay, so it is used during the day also,
Oh, yeah, it's
Gym
used for
fit.
high school classes. Yep.
for classes?
Yeah, there's a
Okay.
10th grade phys ed and
Right.
yeah, lifeguard.
I guess what I'm getting at is, 2 years ago, Peter, we put the ventilation system in. Is that working?
World of difference.
Okay.
Oh, good.
World of
And
difference.
then, and we were worried about the recovery time on the pool and giving the pH a chance to balance in the pool.
We have, I think this year we had 1 day, and it was during the changing of seasons, where the outside, it hadn't adjusted to the boilers turning on. So it was pumping in hot air while it was still kind of warm outside. It just couldn't adjust fast enough, so we sent the kids home early that day, and the next day they came back and they were fine. That was the only issue we had this year, so, yeah, thanks for that.
Well, it's good to hear that that's.
Yeah, I mean, in addition to the ventilation, wasn't there a UV light or
There was a
something?
UV
Yeah,
light,
put in-
you have to help clean it. You know, the water,
Yeah.
when the water pumps into the pool, it's circulated through that UV light,
Yeah.
just help keep the chemicals balanced more and, better circulation.
So it's
and
better
everything.
water for them?
Absolutely.
Good.
So, one of the things that I've been hearing is that we don't give enough time to our high school and that they need, that our swim teams need more time and that they're limited because we're renting it out too frequently.
I'm
You
so
hear that
coach.
from them?
I have no issue with that.
Well,
I think it was with-
Parents think that they are limited, so.
I think that was with the second grade swim though.
I'm sorry?
Wasn't that part of, with
No,
second
it had
grade
to do
swim,
with-
because they couldn't start right after school at 2:30 with the swim programs with the elementary school, and so when we eliminated that this past school year, they
I
were
think it
able to
was-
practice right when school let out.
Yeah, there was that awkward hour where the high school kids were let out of school and they
Yeah.
couldn't have practice yet, so they kind of all just sat up in the lobby and waited
Waited.
for practice. As far as the high school swim schedule and water polo schedule, during high school water polo, the kids are getting, girls and boys are both getting 2 hours of practice in the afternoon on top of an hour and a half, or hour and 15 minutes, Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning. So I mean, I'm not increasing practice any more than that, that's enough as it is. So I have not heard any parents complain about not enough
Or the
practice.
times or something, but don't they, because they come here at like don't they get here at like 4 o'clock in the morning or
No,
something?
I show up between
I
5
hear
and
these things.
I show up between 5 and 5:10. The first kids show up like 5:15. They have to be in the water at 5:30.
So maybe they exaggerate a little bit, but it's still early.
Yes, they do exaggerate.
Maybe they
Yeah.
wake up at 4 o'clock in the
But if
morning
you-
to get.
yeah, I mean, if you ask any of the other school districts around here, I grew up
It's the
swimming.
same, yeah.
It's the same. It
Yeah.
was Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You're in the
That's
pool
swimming
early
and
and
ice hockey.
it's
Ice hockey.
you gotta find time to train. All the college programs do 2-a-days. High school. You got club kids who are driving down to Central Bucks South before school in the fall and in the spring because they go down and have morning practice down there and then drive all the way up here. So they might be practicing earlier.
So-
And they start at 5 a.m.
So Grant, to that point, the high school swim team starts at 2:30, not
Yes.
3:30.
Yes, I'm sorry.
And they're in there till 4:30, so they
Yes.
get 2 hours a day.
Yep.
Okay.
That's enough.
Now, if we have a meet, obviously things get switched around. Pat doesn't come in as early.
Yeah.
We don't start as early, but this is the general schedule, yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Questions on the
No
schedule?
Anything else about the schedule?
All right, so the
Okay.
last thing was just the financial report.
And Mr. Grant, can you compare this to last year as well as part of what you have up there?
Yes. Income from swim lessons, water polo clinic, and swim clinic, $9,938, as you can see on the first top line. With the asterisk, it is subject to change. We are still running some private swim lessons that happened, so we're still collecting money from that. We actually had a few late registrants from water polo and the swim clinic, so I still have those checks that I'm waiting to deposit with some of the other money. So that will definitely be going up. Swim lesson, water polo clinic, and swim clinic from last year, up about $2,000, which is great to see. Income from PAC, $16,069.56. This is an increase, and that increase came from with us getting rid of second grade swimming in the afternoon. It allowed high school to move up, and it also allowed PAC to gain an extra hour, three nights a week. So we saw an increase in that, as well as their Saturday time. They kind of moved some of their practices and extended it a little bit from last year. So that was about $15,000 last year. It's up to about $16,000 this year. Income from North Penn YMCA. This was billed incorrectly. We're working on resolving that. It should actually be almost double that. They were charged a different rate than what they had originally agreed on to. We just sent them the wrong rate. So we contacted them and they said they'd be writing that check. So that would be actually increasing. Total income, we're up, we're up about $4,000 from last year on the income, whether that be from swim lessons, a combination of swim lessons, water polo clinic, swim clinic, and aquatic club. North Penn YMCA is the same as last year. They rent the same amount of time, same weekend every year, just to host their championship meet here. Swim instructors and lifeguards, I think we are about $100 over what we were at last year. Part of that comes into having to have more staff for that extra hour that we now have, but pretty consistent across the board with the amount that we have spent to date
on them. So overall income minus expenses, we're up about $3,000 to $4,000 from last year, with that fluctuation going to be changing based on addition of swim or water polo clinic and swim clinic money, and adjusting the North Penn YMCA bill.
How do our rates compare to the other pools that rent out their time? Are we pretty in line with them?
Yeah, I think the only thing we're not in line with them is the category 3, which is like private, like rent out a pool for like a birthday party kind of thing. I think we're a little extreme on that end. I think it's like $500 an hour to rent out the pool if you're a third party just want to host a birthday party here. But when it comes to nonprofit groups and teams that are coming in to rent the pool, about the same. We also have to take into account that we have probably the smallest pool in our league. North Penn, the CB schools, Souderton, and now Wissahickon, they all have almost Olympic-sized pools, or some of them even do have Olympic-sized pools. So they can split up their rentals. You can rent out the whole thing. It's just going to cost more to rent a bigger pool, with us only being 6 lanes, 25 yards minimum needed for standard competition. I think our rate is very reasonable for that.
What happens with that profit? What is that earmarked for?
Would you believe me if I said I don't know? I turn it into the front desk. And it's,
I would. It just means I'll find out.
It is, and
I'll let you know.
it's actually put into an account. I turn the money into Robin Landis at the front desk, and I give you guys my report at the end of the year. I don't spend money on that. I don't spend money out of it. There are talks of hopefully in the future joining a water polo league and running a team through the community aquatics, where in that term we would have to then use some of that money that we bring in to pay entry fees, all that kind of stuff in the works. So hopefully you'll be hearing about that soon. But I don't know. I don't know what they use that for. It's in an account that they
So,
administration use.
so I'm not gonna put you on the spot, Graham.
Yeah.
The expenses you have listed are the expenses for the instructors and the lifeguards.
Yep.
How do we account for the operating expenses? Is there a way that we can figure the operating expenses for that component? To see, it looks like we're making a lot of money, but are we?
Right.
Yeah, that's
Oh, right. I mean, the cost to run a pool is not, but it is part of the program, right? I mean, we have it for our class, we have it for our students, and so that was a decision made to put in the pool, and so
Right.
yes. Yeah, I can ask Mr.
I'm
Harper.
not sure if there's a way to separate that out or not.
I bet.
Asking.
I bet we can figure out the cost per hour to operate a pool that size.
I'd be comfortable.
I can ask. See.
That sounds like a math.
It does.
That's why I'm looking over here. Sounds like
How
a
much does it cost to actually, think about your chemicals and all that stuff?
No, I think it would give you a better sense of what actually profit you're making, to your point.
It's something to figure out.
Anything else for Mr. Grant?
No, thank you.
Thank you for the update again this year, we appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
Thanks.
Okay, the last item on this agenda, Mrs. Cullen, school volunteers.
Okay. Thank you. First, I have to give my reason for the headband is I told my little girls on the Run Girls that I would give them a shout out at the meeting. They had at Grass Elementary School, they have had a Girls on the Run. I didn't realize it, but it's been 10 seasons. They told me that yesterday, that it's been 10 seasons. Well, at least 10 seasons that I've been doing their DJing, which I think is as long as they've been running. So it's for girls in grades 3 through 5 in elementary school, obviously. And it's not just about running, teaching them to run. It also is about empowerment. And it's a big SEL program as well as a running program. And it culminates at the end of each season. If they do a fall and a spring season, at the end of the fall, at the end of the spring, they have a 5K. So today was their practice 5K where they set everything up just the way it would be on their real 5K day, and they run around the parking lot with the music, and they had that color run powder today. I did not get any of that. I stayed away from that today, but I breathed it in. But anyway, I don't think that all of the elementary schools have it. I assistant coached it at Sellersville, but it is an interesting program, so I would encourage other schools to take it on if someone wants to do it. And this is what they gave me today. So the school volunteers discussion, I was looking back through my notes way before I was ever on the school board. It was actually 2013 was the first time, so it's been almost 6 years that when Dr.